What is up, you guys? The Fallout What If here, and today I'm going to do a what if on what if Deku had, well, fate was summoning people from fate, and basically it's going to be Gilgamesh and Oda Nobunaga with their personalities slightly changed a bit, but overall they don't have their memories. It's a complete wipe actually, causing these two people to actually have the same kind of personalities from time to time, but with it being better than usual. Sorry about that, people. But anyway, as Deku goes through a lot of, how do I say it, troubles with school and all, goes into a different kind of place. You see, Deku would usually just go to his house, but not this time. He would be wandering around the woods, finding a house. This house containing artifacts and rituals and a lot of weird stuff. But Deku accidentally grabbing onto something and dropping it because, well, he fell onto a ritualistic circle, summoning two people. One of them being Oda Nobunaga, and another one known as Gilgamesh. These two are going to be Deku summons, with, well, Oda not know who she is, and Gil not knowing who he is as well. But after seeing Deku, finding out that, you know, they've been summoned, Deku tells them that, well, he knows that these two are something, but he doesn't know who they are. So when he says that they must probably be his quirk, because that's the only that's the only ideal that he has, besides them being aliens that just came out of outer space. But in this world, who believes in aliens, right? It's not like there's a pink-headed alien that could shoot at us in like a xenomorph. No, 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 that would be silly talk. Why would I ever think of such a thing? In all joking aside, Deku meets the two of them, and they basically give out their names. And with Izuku saying his name is Izuku, they are probably those two are probably the result of his quirk or something, and they just go along with it because, well, they don't know who they are. So with Deku saying he awakened his quirk, and Inko seeing these two, and actually happy to think about it, she thinks that now she's gonna have herself a daughter in a way, and not only that, another son. So Deku won't be alone anymore. But the weird thing is that these two have weapons on their body. And if you remember, Gilgamesh has a hilt with a blade on it, and Oda has her. I think it's a gun mixed in with a sword. But either, oh gosh, sorry about that. Either way, they they actually changed different clothing with, well, Oda sporting a dress that is red and black, which I guess they're their favorites, and Gil actually fitting in some kind of well, let's just say cargo pants and a t-shirt. And for basically 10 years straight after Deku found Nisu, the three actually became somewhat so close to each other that they had a good bond. And not only that, Gil actually seeing him as a little brother that he would die for, and Oda seeing him as someone who she could love. Now, she's not gonna like and love him at this moment, because Deku is, how old is he again? He is turning 14 and she looked older than him. But with a lot of luck and a lot of you know, plot intervention, she'll probably find a way to love him, or to at least be loved by him. Deku going and telling them, that they're gonna actually be training, and since Deku for the past 4 years or 10 years, my bad, 10 years have actually held on to a blade that Gil gave him, calling it a black, calling the sword a blackthorn due to the sword being so sharp, but also being so thin. It looks like a rapier, but it's a black sword with basically energy coming off of it. And when Izuku trains a lot, he also learned in magic attacks. He didn't he didn't know what that was. So after using it, he found out he's proficient in fire and also proficient in basically defense. So strong that he'd take a lot of hits after, well, technically, after all, Deku did take hits after the age of 4 with explosions, so that shouldn't be too shocking. The father, in this case, isn't there. So, with the help of Gil and Oda, Deku technically was taken care of. No more babysitters. They thought that they were just gonna. Well, technically, Deku and Inko thought that the quirks will return to him or something, but no, they have a mind of their own. So now, after after so long, Deku actually learns that these two have different abilities. Oda, well, having her gun and having different attacks using her sword and her laser gun. They, what's the word? They find out that Gil has this ability to summon different weapons, and not only that, use chains. Now, Deku, he and the other two basically go to school while everybody calls Izuku the Fated Champion. Now, Deku, I didn't actually want to make that up and be like, oh, use fate as the title. No, technically Deku is the Fated Champion because one, the two names that he just listed off were names of old heroes or old people from the past. So yeah, with Deku also wielding a sword and everybody thinking he has a what is it called, a half and half quirk, summoning people and summoning weapons. Yeah, Deku was technically untouched because since people try to fight him, Gil and Oda always came to his aid. Deku, though, always wanting to see how far he could push himself, being very fast now that he could slap people around, and strong enough to to technically crack a wall. Shit, sorry about that. What the hell was that? What the fudge was that? I'm sorry, you guys. All I just heard was like a piece of metal just freaking hitting and vibrating. That actually scared me. I'm gonna just I'm gonna just put the covers over me. Give me a second here, people. God, Lee, what the fuck was that? All right. I'm back. I'm sorry, guys, for whatever that was, but yeah, that was not scripted. That was something else. Actually, I found out that this place is actually haunted. With me, kind of seeing sometimes things that I shouldn't be seeing. But we'll talk about that later. Now, okay, I had to help I had to actually get myself back into character. Deku, mm, with Deku going to face off people who try to bully him, he's actually raised his popularity a lot to where Deku is known as a hero, or he's going to become a hero one day. Now, everything goes well, and besides everything that is different, everything goes into canon. Deku actually, goes and becomes is told by the teacher, "Oh, you want to go to UA?" Bakugo not even saying nothing because, well, Gil and Oda would just pretty much beat the crap out of him. Actually, the first time that they found out this happens on a day-to-day basis from way back then, these two always like stare at Bakugo, be like, "Oh, try it. I actually want you to go ahead and try to hit our master. Give me a reason to commit murder today." And Bakugo, yeah, he's trying to fight them several times, but these two are so powerful, and these two always using either a what oh gosh, there's something in my room that's just making noise. I'm sorry, guys. Golly, this is not supposed to be on. This is not supposed to be on the video, but sheesh. I'm actually just going. I'm just doing the video, and after that, just gonna edit it. But hopefully, the noise isn't gonna be on there. I'm not gonna make any promises though. Now, Deku, not Deku, Bakugo, knowing that these two are strong, just by themselves, with Deku there, especially all three of them ganging up on Bakugo. Bakugo knows his chances. He's not gonna take it. He's not taking that chance to basically get dead. And not only that, Deku goes to the UA, not the UA, goes out of school and then sees a sludge villain. Deku saying that he actually wants to try to fight him on his own, and those two saying, "All right, but we have your back if you need it." Deku says, "Oh, don't worry," and he says, "Besides, Big Brother gave me the sword. It's not the sword that I have to worry about. It's the person that's wielding it. And I always have to make sure I'm 100% in my 100%. I have to use 100% of my strength in order to always win. Don't give anybody a chance to try to overcome me." Gil says, "Oh, look at you. Ah, man, I feel like I teach him well." Oda's saying, "Yeah, but most times than not, you kind of have an arrogant personality, don't you?" And this is when Gil says, "Hey, I'm not arrogant. I'm just honest." Oda says, "Yeah, of course you're not arrogant." And this is when Gil says, "You see, sometimes sometimes I impress my own self by being so humble." And this leads Oda to just like bite her lip and just say, "You know what? I'm not gonna say nothing. No need to cause a war." And Deku slicing them, basically the no not the Nova Sludge villain, and Sludge villain says how did he do that, and Deku using a fire to just burn the Sludge villain too, and All Might technically wasn't there because he was actually somewhere else trying to find him, so nobody saw nothing. Deku starts walking and all, and 10 months go by. Oda's actually teaching him in using archery, or yeah, archery, teaching him how to use a gun. Now she can't give him his gun, but she will let him. She will teach him on how to use just ranged weapons, such as a bow and also a pistol. She remember in her head that while there was, rifles and all, and bows and arrows and crossbows and all that such, she prefers to go with her laser gun. That is way devastating when it comes to destroying stuff. And Deku actually using basically the sword because it's much more easier. And Otis says, I just wanted to teach you something, but no, that's okay. You could just learn your you can learn how to use Gil's weaponry and styles. I don't feel any jealous at all. And Deku, being so naive and stuff, gives her a hug and tells her that it's all right. She's always going to be he's always going to be grateful to her. And she says, "Grateful." And this is what she says: "You should be grateful. You know how hard it is at times trying to teach you something and you don't listen? Sheesh, I always have to put this whole team together in order to show its true potential." And this is when Gil says, "Very humble, don't you think?" And this is when Oda looks at him and says, "You're one to talk." Now, after the 10 months of Deku going, still training and actually improving on his fire magic. Oh yeah, how did they know about magic at all? Well, Deku thinks that because of his quirk, he has the ability to use other outworldly powers, and magic happens to be kind of outworldish, out of this world by technicality. So he uses fire. He uses fire magic and just shoots fire out of his hands. Not only that, with the sword he's gotten, he pretty much beats his opponents down. And not only that, he also has another sword. By technicality, this sword is actually a little bit on the bigger side because Deku doesn't use swords like that. He uses the light sword that Gil has given him, training his whole muscles and stuff to be at least toned to a point where wielding a sword wouldn't be hard. And Deku does go to the entrance exam where he meets Chaco, and he actually just leans on her shoulder and says, "How you doing? My name is Izuku. Izuku. I hope he actually gets to be in the same class." And this is when Ochako actually starts blushing and says, "Yeah, me too." And this is when Deku says, "All right, hope see you in the building." And this is when Deku just starts flustering a lot. And Gil says, "Wow, you actually went to say that. I'm so proud of you." Deku says, "I don't want to do that again." And he says, "Relax, relax. Look, I know I should have made you done that, but she kind of seemed interested, buddy. She was interested in you and she wanted you." And this is when Oda starts, showing out a deadlier aura, saying, "Izuku, that's not how you do talk to girls." And this is when Izuku says, I just wanted to, I wanted to, you wanted to what, Izuku? It's not like you have a beautiful maiden by you, who's strong and fearless." And this is when Gil says, "Beautiful maiden." And basically, a piece of, well, technically, oh, fudge, I forgot. Uh, a big rock got thrown at Gil, and Gil actually fell on the ground saying, "Hey, I didn't do nothing wrong." And in that anime-esque fashion, she starts walking off. And this is when Deku says, "Well, Gil, It's time for us to actually go inside. Now, Deku aces the written part of the test, and after that goes and actually gets ready for the the what's it called, the the test where sheesh, I kind of forgot. They all go outside and Deku gets ready with Gil and Oda actually getting serious for once, because really there's no reason to get serious. I mean, there's nothing. They technically can't fight anybody besides Bakugo, and that's just passing the time by seconds, mere seconds. So Deku actually gets ready and stuff, and he actually starts running. No, not knowing where they're gonna go, they go. Well, technically, Oda takes the one on the right, and Gil actually takes the one on the left. And this is when Deku starts running, finding out where is he gonna go. And Deku actually starts cutting down a couple of robots, actually destroying some of them, and then just piercing them with his sword, shooting some with technically melting, if we're gonna be technical around here, melting some of the robotic components that Deku had, and everything was going well until the 0 pointer came, and this is when Gil and Oda talk to each other and say, "Well, there's no point in running towards there. The 0 pointer, it's not going to give him any points." Stat- Status, yes. Points, no. Really, if we keep this all a secret, then everybody will just not see our true potential. I mean, we could destroy everything in mere seconds. Why stretch it? Stretch it. Oda says, well, technically, if we let Izuku do this, and not only that, give Izuku a chance to improve even at higher risks, but they realize that if Izuku can't do this on his own, then there's no point to it. So they technically just say, all right, Izuku should be running back over here any minute now. The opposite is true. The opposite actually happens. Deku starts running and blitzing towards the freaking 0 pointer, and actually cuts down the rubble that Ochako was at. And this is when he starts to carry her. The 0 pointer tries to grab him, but Deku actually just deflects it with his sword, saying that you're not going to touch her at all, and gets his sword ready. And this is when Oda basically grabs sheesh. What does he grab? What does he grab? What does he grab? Oh, sheesh. I'm so sorry. Hold on here. Deku grabs. I mean, not Deku. Oda grabs Uraraka. Gilgamesh uses the chains around the chains, and pretty much just shoot it around the what's his face, the 0 pointer. The 0 pointer actually just not able to move, and this is when he summons a blade, puts it up in the sky, and just swings it down, and a big sword just actually appears in the sky, looking exactly the same as the sword Gilgamesh has, and just slices it down, or slices it in two, causing the 0 pointer to actually just fall, and Izuku to look into horror, seeing how strong Gilgamesh actually is. Otis says, "Show off," and Gil looks at her with a smile and says, "I'm just better at what I do." Now, I'm gonna end it off here because one, I gotta find out what is in my house because I am technically alone. And this actually scares me. I don't want to actually get out of here. I actually just want to stay right here. Uh, the ghost, the ghosties, the ghosters, the ghostbusters. They're. It's something in my house, so I gotta make sure to. I'll keep you guys updated. But anyway, if you like this video, like, comment, do subscribe to the channel here. This has been the Fallout with here. Bye.